is Shmira Fasadin with the Epicenter and NCIA. I am the program manager for student programs, and I'm here with Jared Karp and Adam Eastman of Berkeley University, UC Berkeley, and we are here to talk about their the movement that they have catalyzed on their campuses. So word is that you two are the key students behind the innovation space at Berkeley. So how did it all start?
It all started from an inspiring tour of the D School and the IDEO, and it was instantly obvious right when we left. We jumped in the car and we looked at each other and we read each other's minds and knew this is what had to happen.
That's awesome. So what did you do next?
We started talking to people and just making connections, and we realized we kept shooting for, every time we thought it would be ideal if this, we just tried it, and eventually, we kept pushing hard and showing people that we weren't messing around and we weren't just going to be another student club that was going to dissolve away. And once people realized that we meant business and we were here to make things happen, they started helping us out, and just like dominoes, it just started happening.
So, Jared, I think you once told me that one of the first things that you did was you went and reached out to friends and you read a book, and you sort of, the two of you got everyone behind your vision. Can you tell me a bit about that process?
Right. So there were some key milestones in the process of creating this new thing, this new living, breathing organization from scratch, from the ground up. And as Adam said, we were inspired by seeing IDEO and what they do and the way that they collaborate and how dynamic of an environment that is. And then we had the opportunity to see the D School, and we're so frustrated that there was nothing like that on our campus. So we, that day, made it our mission to foster a paradigm shift, serve as catalysts for some major change in the way that engineering is taught and the experience that we're able to have as students at UC Berkeley. So the first thing that we did was we reached out to 7 of our closest friends. And the reason we chose 7 was we were trying to emulate an IDEO hot group, which is a collection of 8 different kind of personality role players in any dynamic group. So we grabbed people that were, of various skill sets, academic backgrounds, various engineers, social scientists, math majors. We just wanted to get the capable and talented and social people in one place under a common vision. So that actually proved to be a surprising challenge, which was getting a collection of very different people with different focuses and different minds under one common unified goal. And to do that, we had everybody read Tom Kelly's The Art of Innovation, which kind of served as the inspiration behind what it is that we were hoping to do and accomplish. And we figured rather than trying to articulate it ourselves, it would be best if everybody read the same thing. And one thing that Adam took the initiative of doing was to write a summarized version of The Art of Innovation so that it was more accessible to students who have a lot on their plate, so that with just reading 30 pages of summary of a pretty long book, everyone can kind of get on the same page and figure out what it was that we wanted to do. And from that point on, it was much easier to move forward and begin to strategize further as to how we were going to build this thing.
So I have to tell you, Adam, those cliff notes, if you will, were awesome, because I was able to easily wrap my mind around the value of that book, and so really great job of like summarizing and distilling it to the essence of it. And I imagine that was a really good common vision point that you were able to share with your fellow teammates.
No, definitely. And I saw a lot of people that were already excited who were even more excited. So it not only helped us, bring in more people that didn't know about design thinking and creative problem solving, but it got everyone else not only on the same plane, but even more excited. And every time we needed to incentivize people, it was really easy to even just quote the book or even just do practice problems that were similar to ones that were shown in the book. And some other books, like What I Wish I Knew When I Was 20, some other inspiring books we just had laying around our space anytime anyone was allowed to read them. And it was really fun listening to people constantly give us feedback on our amazing library of incentive books.
That's awesome. So then what? So you had people inspired. You knew that change needed to happen. You had some models that you wanted to follow. Then what'd you do?
We decided we had to start at the top because it's the only way things were actually going to happen. So we met with Professor Dornfeld, which is the department chair of the mechanical engineering department, and he told us that he loved where we were coming from, and he was totally behind us, and that was where we figured out we had to help him in the but section. He said, but we need to rally more people together. We need to get a bigger following. So I said, perfect. So I just started talking to more professors, explaining what DEC was, what we're trying to do, where the shed is, how they can use it, and just spreading that along until all these other professors started to get the message, so that when it came time, when this was like a couple months later after we initially met with Professor Dornfeld, and he said, okay, it's time. Let's put together a group of professors. You should probably do some research to find people that are interested. And I was like, well, done already. Here's the list right here. And he saw that I was already on it, and he put together a committee called the Proto Committee, which was myself and about 10 other professors in the mechanical engineering department. And we talked everything about curriculum to space renovations to the actual logistics about how it would be run. So that kind of set the ground for this new institute that's happening. And that was really exciting because it got me on the same plane as the faculty, which is great.
That's awesome. Now, somewhere in there, you inserted the fact that there was this thing called DEC and that there was a thing called shed. And I'm not sure that we've actually captured that story. So at what point did DEC and shed come alive? What are those things? And tell me the story, because I want to hear about the oversized closet and the bag of half-eaten potato chips.
Okay, so within 3 days of coming up with DEC and telling our friends about this and getting everybody really excited, we set up a meeting with the president of the Engineering Student Council here at UC Berkeley, who was kind of overseeing some of the spaces that were available to student organizations. But first, we had identified a space on campus that was severely underutilized. And we approached the student leader with a vision for what that space could really be. And it took some minor convincing, some explanation of our vision and plan for sustainability. But eventually he was on board and gave us permission to kind of renovate the space. But renovate is a very liberal word to use because we were given $600 to do so. And the catch was that $600 had to come out of our own pockets, and getting reimbursed was a nightmare.
But you really just had the authority to move forward, and this was given to you by a student leader.
Yes.
And yes. Just for viewers here, we're talking about DEC as in the Design Engineering Collaborative.
That's right. So first existed the organization, just the group of students without any physical space, content, only really a unified vision that was more of a verbal understanding. So as soon as we kind of got the okay to use this space, we treated it as our first group design challenge to figure out how to transform what was before an oversized junk closet where every engineering student organization stored their extra flyers, half-empty 2-liter soda bottles, boxes of Lay's that had rodent feces in them. It was just a total mess. Scrap projects that were kind of like slopped over with wood glue were just kind of strewn about the room. So we spent a full day kind of clearing out the trash, cleaning out the space, sweeping and mopping the floor, and just kind of starting fresh, getting a sense of what it was that we had to work with. And then we spent the next week or so creating a plan for how we were going to spend the very limited resources that we had. So a major part of the design was creating an environment where you enter a space and your mind clicks into a certain mentality that is separate and different and refreshing from kind of the normal everyday classroom experience and kind of the high stress external world of academia that is homework and papers and projects.
Fantastic.
So a key feature of that space was modular furniture and movable writing surfaces. So with that $600, we transformed the oversized junk closet into a collaborative zone filled with over 400 square feet of whiteboards, movable writing surfaces, and filled with tools for low fidelity prototyping and a space that was highly conducive to innovation.
So then what? I think from what I understand of your story, it wasn't just a place that you guys started to use. You began to like open it up to a lot of other organizations. Is that true?
Exactly, and that definitely helped when we had to jump over the barriers that are the Engineering Student Council, the ESC as they're called, and all the different roadblocks that they put in the way. Every time we kept reminding them that this space is not for us, as like every other space on campus is dedicated to a certain student group. But this space is not ours, it's everyone's. And once we emphasized that and we made it clear to people, it took months of explaining. People would walk by and walk in angry, saying, oh, I can't believe you guys got this room. And we clear it up one person at a time, one student organization at a time. We cleared the air, and then we made a relationship, and we said, hey, let's collaborate. Let's team up. I'm sure some people with us would love to help you guys. Let's all brainstorm together. And we just kept setting up meetings and brainstormers and prototyping sessions. And then everyone kind of got on the same page. Yeah.
You kept reducing barriers, making it available to everyone, having it be a neutral space, a resource for everyone. Fantastic strategy. Really, just such a value add to so many constituent groups, I imagine. So, tell me about like when you sort of stepped it up a notch, because you know that was then, and now we've just learned that your school has gotten a $20 million gift, and a lot must have happened between sort of like first starting the space to that piece. For many students, it's daunting to think of like the affecting change that will ultimately lead to that kind of gift. But break it down for us. How did things snowball and cascade to that point?
I mean, so much has happened over the last 8 months that's led up to this, incredible award from the Jacobs Foundation. And what I would say is that we kept chipping away, and we spent a really long time figuring out how we were going to scale our vision to a large population and community without failing by overexerting ourselves, our potential, our expertise. And that process took an entire semester. But we never gave up, and whenever we felt like we were hitting a roadblock or an obstacle or a disagreement, we worked tenaciously through it until we all kind of were ready, comfortable, and had a strategy to launch. We had this vision of a really strong launch because, if you start fast and hard and people believe in you from the very beginning, then sustaining something like that gets significantly easier. So what we did was we invited a contact that we were very fortunate to make in Dennis Boyle, one of the founders and partners of IDEO, to come give a talk on campus and to subsequently lead a brainstormer in our design space. It was co-hosted the brainstormer that followed the talk was given to about 150 students who were absolutely enthralled hearing about innovation and having it brought directly to the attention of a larger audience. Of the 150 people who attended the talk, about 50 stayed for our brainstormer, and this was done at the very beginning of the spring semester. And that brainstormer went incredibly well. We used it to start generating ideas and getting kind of the creative and innovative energy flowing so that we could lay a groundwork for the rest of the semester. And that event was co-hosted by the founder of Eddystorm. His name is Reg. Eddystorm is now Stormboard, which is a online collaborative brainstorming software that's really, really cool. It has a lot of really great applications, and he was kind of coming to beta test and give us the opportunity to brainstorm in a new way. That event went incredibly well. It was the first time that we saw how much students really cared and how great of a need there was for something like this on campus.
Wow.
From that point on, we kind of used the idea fodder from that event weekly, trying to move forward into projects and teams and creating larger visions that would continue throughout the semester until they reached completion. And the challenge was to work with really limited resources as far as money goes. We didn't have the financial resources to provide funding for prototyping or to buy ourselves really the necessary equipment to enable that. We had kind of a bare minimum.
Right.
What we were able to do is connect with industry-sponsored projects and connect with some campus organizations and institutions that support student innovation to enable students to get their hands on real projects at little to no cost to them. And as a result, some great innovation started happening almost right away. Enough was happening that we could show off these things at events that were put on by the administration and faculty, which served as major catalysts for this $20 million award.
So that sounds, that sounds pretty logical. You had students excited, working on specific design projects, actually applying their engineering skills to real creative problem solving for, real world problems. And you showcase this kind of event, and the chancellor or dean of the College of Engineering then gets to show it off to large prospective donors like it was the Jacobs Foundation. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So the setting is there's an external advisory board, and every College of Engineering has something like this, where there are leaders from industry, successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, ex-professors, kind of champions of academia, who sit on a board and help direct the trajectory of the educational experience. And ways that they help to do so is by fundraising, and a lot of the fundraising comes directly from that external advisory board. Paul Jacobs sits on that external advisory board and was present for a presentation that Adam and I were able to give through our work in one of our classes and through our work with the Design Engineering Collaborative. So with that opportunity, we were able to get directly in the ear of some of the people that have the power and resources to actually provide the backbone for this major change. And we were so fortunate to have the Jacobs Foundation and Paul Jacobs really come through and do something big.
So what advice would you give to students, other student ambassadors on campuses across America who come to the same realization that they need similar kind of infrastructure and innovation spaces and a concerted effort to provide engineering students with hands-on tools and practical a space to collaborate and come together and create. What would you identify as the top 3 game-changing facets of your strategy that worked in leading to where you are today? And you've met many of your peers, so what would you say? Clearly, every ecosystem is not like the Berkeley ecosystem. Many of these places are not in regions anything like the Bay Area, but many of those fundamental aspects of an engineering school are the same. So what would you tell them are the 3 or 4 most important things that they should be looking for to leverage to achieve the same kind of success?
Well, I have so much advice based on failing. Well, sort of failing, at least stumbling through the process some of the time, and kind of seeing what works and what doesn't really lead anywhere. But my number one piece of advice that I tell to everybody for whatever it is that they're trying to do is be tenacious and don't give up when the goings get rough or you don't see a clear path to whatever your vision is. And you need to know that it's a marathon. Nothing happens as quickly as you think it's going to. And along the way, obstacles come up, and the key is to know where to look for the resources, help, and people who can help you get around those obstacles. Exactly. There's so much more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Jared said about figuring out who to go to get help with getting over obstacles. And a lot of the time it was me just having meetings after meetings after meetings, slowly going through the process of getting to the actual person that I needed to talk to. But most of the time you don't know who you have to talk to. So just realize that you may have to take a couple steps to get there. And don't be afraid of that leap between where you are now and where you know you have to be. You just know you have to take it step by step. And another piece of advice I give is show your enthusiasm. And if you're working on a project that you really care about and you show people constantly how much you care and how much it means to you, they will definitely put in more effort to help you and assist you on the way. And that has definitely helped me through the entire process.
Yeah, Adam, thank you for saying that. The way that I usually phrase that is be driven by your passion, because if you're not driven by your passion, then people will see through whatever it is that you're saying.
That's really sound advice. Thank you. So what's next? Now you have this $20 million gift, you have a space, you still have this core team, and now you have hundreds of students coming through the space and wanting more. What's next?
So there was a kind of a piece of information that we kind of skipped over that's incredibly important, I think. And that is there was a clear point, excuse me, during this past semester where the Design Engineering Collaborative went from a young seed that really had not yet sprouted and gained life, and it transitioned into its own sustainable, living, breathing thing without Adam and I needed there to drive it and support it every single day. And that was a really incredible thing to realize and see happen, that set the groundwork for whatever it is that happens in the future.
So you got it to a point where your fellow teammates could lead it and successors could take over, and it became a sustainable thing, and you could move on to the next sort of higher order needs.
Yeah,
exactly.
That
the effort that the movement needed.
Exactly. So there was an instance where I was out of town. In fact, I was on my way to Washington, D.C. to partake in the EPA National Design Expo with NCIIA. And there was a deck meeting that night. And I was sitting on the airplane, and I received a photo message on my phone that was 30 members of DEC wearing their DEC T-shirts, standing by the deck banner with huge smiles on their face. And I wasn't there, and I was actually really happy that I wasn't, because I felt that it was real. You know, it was so real.
Independence, it's alive. It is now, it has legs. It will continue and grow stronger. And
Yep.
yeah, what a phenomenal thing.
And there's a lot to be said for part of the team that we put together from day one, because none of this would be possible without them. Adam and I could not do any of this by ourselves, as much as we would have liked to, and it seemed like we were trying to for a while, without the help of some of our closest co-conspirators. This just would not have happened.
Well, that's a great note upon which to end our interview. I'd like to first mention that there's a lot of great articles being produced on the Student Ambassador blog by Sean Maroney and Blake Margraf and Elliot Roth about leadership and engaging peers, taking the ego out of leadership, really empowering and enabling, catalytic movement to form and take root. So check that out. That's at studentambassadorsusa.com. And also your organization, Jared, and your 3 other student ambassador peers who have started Betaversity as yet another resource for campuses thinking about seeking some outside assistance in helping catalyze and guide movement. Do you want to say just a few words about that?
Yes, it's been an incredible, how long has it been? 2.5 months.
Yeah.
In the process of founding Betaversity with such a talented, close-knit group of like-minded individuals who are just so effective in what it is that they do. In such a short amount of time, we have created content and built a framework for a large nationwide ecosystem for innovation in support of this large national maker movement, and empowering young innovators to pursue their passions and actually bring their ideas to reality, because we've been fortunate to see that actually happen, and to be able to spread that light across the country to students and peers like ourselves has just been so powerful.
That's really exciting. And now at the core of it, you'll be assisting academic institutions, faculty, and administration who know they need innovation spaces and know they need design kitchens and various other things. You'll be assisting them in getting it set up, straightened away, and get students coming and running the space and using the space, and essentially helping kickstart the efforts that you've launched at Berkeley, but at other campuses, and networking those campuses together. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, what we do is we design, build, and facilitate innovation spaces and ecosystems.
That's such an exciting thing to hear, and what an amazing resource that is for student ambassador campuses, as well as many of the engineering school campuses that we work with. So we're excited to have you in the ecosystem of resources. And just thank you so much, Adam and Jared, for all your work as student ambassadors, and for all that you've done at Berkeley, and also for sharing your stories and inspiring other student ambassadors.
Of course. Thank you so much. Absolutely. I look forward to sharing milestones as this story continues to develop, because it's been an incredible ride, and this is just the beginning of something much bigger.
Well, I'm going to then suggest that we come back to you in a year's time and check in and see all that's been accomplished both at Berkeley and at Betaversity in a year's time.
Yeah, maybe sooner.
Sounds great.
All right, sounds great. Okay, take it easy, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a great night.
Good night.